Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's feeling energized and in a good, energetic situation. I'm feeling better now as the day's gone on. I'm not sure what to sing. I'm feeling better every day. I'm feeling more positive. We work together to create a better world. We do it all together. We'll manage this forever. We'll get it all together. We'll create a better world. Excuse my strange singing. I hope that's all right. I'm not the greatest of singers. I try. But how is everyone today, anyhow? I'm just rushing around here. I went out earlier to get some fish. I love my food and I love fish. I'm doing bone broth later on. I don't know whether anybody is into sort of different foods like that, but I find it I'm such a foodie, it gets silly. I think food is so, to me, it's the essence of life, the right food, no absolute rubbish going in. Your body's a temple. I don't know, I hope everyone agrees on that in different ways. And I'm definitely a bit of a OTT with food, picky in what I have. And I have to have my special salt, Celtic, and I have a lot of raw food and lots of probiotics. And I say, I'm sorry, but food is my real thing. And I think half of my problems stems from eating too much rubbish, and it messes our digestion, as we know, and that makes our brains sad. And I was listening to a really strange, as I listen on YouTube, I try not to listen too much. And there's a lady on there called Mary's Nest, and she does all the different foods that are kind of traditional foods. And she was saying about the food of milk, when it's, what's the word for it? Lacto fermented. That's the one. How it makes you feel better and this is a weird one. She said it makes you kinder. I thought, oh, okay, I haven't even gone that far with it. But it gives you just some kind of peaceful feeling all around in your whole body, maybe. And it's a natural food. I know a lot of people don't eat meat and they probably don't like dairy. But anyway, it's just a personal thing and it kind of works for me. And it doesn't work for everyone, but we're all individual. But yeah, I'm sorry, my food is a thing with me at the moment. Call me obsessive with it. I don't know. I have to be a little bit less obsessive maybe, but food is a big thing for me. I don't know anyone's got any comments.
Joanne, can
Yeah.
I? Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely on the vitality, the V in vitality, aren't you, there for the love party? And I totally agree that it's so important. What we consume is literally, we are what we eat. We literally are what we eat, and it makes such a difference. And so on that theme, my morning has actually been spent because I went to Sheffield to drop my son at rugby because he's got in public school now, and I was explaining to him about rugby as the sport of public schools, precisely because it creates a ruthless, I'll get that ball over the line no matter who I have to kind of barge out of the way to get. It creates ruthless, that it kind of plays into that public school mindset. Anyway, and on the way back I went to the wholesaler, and I haven't been for a long time, so my store cupboard, which is kind of like an apocalypse store cupboard, but I use it the whole time, it's pretty much bare. And it feels so good to just go to the wholesaler and just stock up on all the basics, like big bags of rice and trays of things like kidney beans and oils and salts and washing powder and kitchen roll and toilet roll, and buy them in bulk, and just cost saving a huge amount of money, making that investment. But it just feels so good to have that store cupboard. It's just a sense of like abundance, like a real base covers needs, like a covered off, knowing that there's enough food in there to last for probably 3 months. So Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. But I'm just tuning in this morning before I left. And apologies for not sending the reminder for this call until just now because I've been a bit busy this morning. But just tuning in to what is unfolding with the, obviously they're bringing through the new variant and building all the supermarkets, so they're all building to go back into lockdown and mask mandates.
That's what's
And
got
all the
me.
colleges are doing that. And then this morning I saw this thing about Occupy Westminster, and it looked, I mean, I could feel the dissonance in it. And it was kind of like, whoa. And it's because this is all being run by behavioral psychologists. It feels to me like they've been monitoring the freedom movement, and they know
Yeah.
that when they turn up the heat on all the bullshit again, the freedom movement is going to go from just being on a pilot light burner, it's going to spring back into life again. And it seems to me what they're desperately trying to do is to whip up hatred, anger, revolutionary energy, because we have worked out the Achilles heel of the satanic agenda, which is love. And the fact that we are peaceful and we are speaking truth and we are resonant. And so thank you for doing that singing, because singing is a beautiful way to bring in harmonic resonance. And it's almost like they desperately need some footage or stories or images that they can film at Westminster of yobby, shouty, rebellious, violent,
Yeah.
yada da da da, because they want to smear the freedom movement and to encapsulate us, because it hasn't worked. The conspiracy theory thing, smear, doesn't work anymore because it's conspiracy fact. So it's like they need a story, and I'm really getting the propaganda. Watching that documentary, I think Julie posted it, about the John Pilger documentary about propaganda and the nature of propaganda, and how all of the media is owned, and its total mission is to push through the agenda. So we have to be very, very aware, because that Westminster thing, it only came out in June. The guy behind it I've never seen before in any videos, in any freedom movement, anything, for 3 years. Now that's unusual, because someone doesn't appear out of the blue making videos and doing spectacular animated promotions which look rough and ready, but they're very slick. No one appears out of the blue to do that out of nowhere after these 3 years. It doesn't stack up to me. So I'm just really wanting to raise awareness of the potential of what's in the mind of the system to manage the freedom movement backlash to what is going to happen. So we need absolute peaceful non-compliance, truth speaking, but absolutely not to share anything which is about destroying or fighting or war or anything, any of those themes. We absolutely have to be aware that they are potentially being planted deliberately to create, to ignite that end of the freedom movement, which is quite militant, because most of the people in the freedom movement are absolutely peaceful and awakening in consciousness, and that is our movement, essentially the love movement. So I just wanted to put that in there very strongly as my little opening observation this morning. And now I will shut up, and thank you for hosting. Thank you for agreeing to host, Joanne. It's nice to have
Can I just say one? Can I just say one thing before I forget? Last night, Ian Duncan Smith was he was more or less endorsing the when everyone's, what were they? They're violently sort of smashing cameras, which you can understand, but they were violently smashing, and also the 5G pulling them, and he was more or less
you mean ULEZ?
Sorry, yeah, Lewis, yeah, and he was more or less not condoning and pushing, almost saying, yeah, carry on. And to me it was a strange thing. I mean, to just it's on. Well, they want, like you say, they want violence. They are desperate for people to be
Yes.
violent. They can't understand why we've not been actually.
And
It's
they can push through emergency laws,
yes,
of
military, yeah,
course.
and then
That's
was
what they need. So, because
martial law,
we're not
yeah,
going to obey with lockdown, so they need
and
some
that.
emergency laws to deal with
Yeah.
the militant uprising. That's my sense on it. Hylin.
Mm, I think so.
Anyway,
Anything
Roger.
for Roger?
Sorry, I'm taking over.
No, I don't want. I mean, I'm not used to it. I
Shut up.
can't do anything from Roger. Roger,
Well,
you.
just to say that as a result of the people speak out, I've had one or two orders for the trial by jury leaflets. So that's a good thing. So what I'm doing is anybody who wants 100 trial by jury leaflets to stick in the letterboxes in their streets, they just need to send me a tenner in an envelope with their address. And so a few people have taken that up. I haven't got any envelopes yet, but they say they're going to send me one. So we'll see how it goes.
Who are you getting those leaflets off out of interest, Roger?
Yogi.
Ah, right.
Yeah, but the text is mainly from a man called Ken Dewdney of Democracy Defined. Actually, Will Keaton, Yogi, and myself did formulate our own text. But when we looked at Ken Dewdney's, it seemed to be better, so we went with his. And so that's what I'm mainly concerned with at the moment, getting those out.
So, Roger, can I be a bit? Sorry, what were you meaning? Trial. There is a trial by jury. Can you be more specific? Sorry, I'm a bit slow on the uptake there. How do you mean?
But what did you say there? I didn't catch what you said.
Show us the leaflet, Roger. Show the leaflet.
Yeah, the leaflet. I mean, what exactly?
I haven't got one
Oh,
with me,
okay.
unfortunately.
What's it about exactly? We have a trial by jury. How do you mean? It means to make sure it doesn't ever.
Yeah, well, yes.
Obviously, we don't.
We have trial by jury, but not everybody can get one.
Okay.
That's the problem. The system is preventing us getting a trial by jury.
So that's stop it, isn't it? They were trying to stop it. I think they've been trying to stop it, little so and so. I think they have, haven't they?
Well, they don't want it because it's directly against. It fights directly against the government's power because they push out legislation which we've actually got to consent to anyway. But they don't take any notice of that. They just steamroll it, goes right ahead, and the only way we can break their legislation, which is not law, is to have a trial by jury, because the jurors can actually annul the legislation or completely rescind it. So that's what I'm talking about.
So the leaflet explains that, Joanne, the leaflet is a little leaflet on trial by jury explaining to people that they have awareness of their right to a trial by jury, because the system will trick you into agreeing to a magistrate's court or a circuit judge court. Whereas if you require a trial by jury, it is your right in law to have, even under the current system, I require a trial by jury. I require a trial by jury and not agree to any other court. And most people aren't aware of that. And as Roger says, the key thing is that with a trial by jury, the jury is not just judging the person, because you're innocent until proven guilty. It's also judging the legislation, and it can throw out any legislation. It's called jury nullification. So even if the person is completely guilty of whatever they've been charged of, if the legislation is faulty, the jury can throw it out, and it needs all 12, beyond any reasonable doubt, all 12 need to find you guilty. It's a very high bar to be found guilty by a trial by jury that is aware of its rights of jury nullification. Doesn't mean to say they never find anyone guilty, but it's a much higher bar than balance of probabilities, which is magistrates court, which is just a rubber stamp for the Crown Prosecution Service, who've already decided you're guilty, and they just need a magistrate to rubber stamp it and hand you your fine or your sentence, just to explain it. And that's what I think the leaflet explains, although I haven't seen it. Roger.
Okay, thanks. Can I just want to say something quick as well. I was listening to, I think Julie posted it, Mark on Windows for, hang on, I never get it right. Windows on the World. And he was saying with this EULAs, obviously they need public consultation. And he's found out that they haven't actually had public consultation, and there's no evidence of them ever consulting the public and businesses. And that's just another angle. And that is obviously, that would be the way to deal with EULAs. I mean, rather than smashing the camp. Does that make sense? But because violence never did anything, but I can understand why people do. But we should have a consultation, and it should be, you know, properly. Do you know what I'm trying to say in that way, rather than,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how, but we need to sort of command that we want consultation. And I don't really know how you go about that, petitions, whatever. But violence, obviously, as we know, is never the answer. It pushes for a while, and it never, in the long run, it just is dangerous, especially now.
EULAs is unlawful because the people own the
yeah.
streets, not the government or the
Well-
local authority. The people own the streets, and they are public highways, public rights of way. It is therefore unlawful for any government to charge the people to use the things that they own. Fundamentally, EULAs is unlawful.
Yeah, and also they had the blockades, well, like boxes of flowers, and apparently in some parts they just took them away, and which is their right, because they were actually, they'd be in an obstruction.
Yes.
And they shouldn't be on the road. So you would have a right to put that would be that wouldn't be violent. That would be a right to just move them away so you could drive. It's crazy. It's all, yeah, like it's yeah. But there's we'll sort it out somehow.
Yeah, well, both of you have got it right. The government wants violence. This is their short-term objective, and that gives them what they want. Just as Rachel said. So that's the most important thing, to refrain from violence.
Yeah, they can't. They only know how to deal with violence. I read that somewhere. That's all they know how to deal with, and they can't deal with anything else. Of course, you know, they wouldn't, would they? They wouldn't know. It's impossible. We've done very well up to now. I mean, and we'll carry on doing well. But there will be a lot of infiltrators. I mean, I presume that's always happened with any movement, hasn't it, in history?
Yeah. It does. It does.
Yeah. I know that's, and I think this might, I mean, I don't know how far out this sounds, but they've always, whoever the board billionaires are, they've funded both sides of a war. They've funded both sides, the first and the second. So surely there might be funding in a way, kind of getting into fund. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Am I being a bit far out there?
No, you're absolutely right. The funds come from the bankers ultimately, don't they?
Mm. But they definitely fund, yeah. And so now there might be, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's hard to psychoanalyze it all, isn't it? Really, but it's a psyop with all said and done. And so it's not so much. It's all now the new lockdown, because we've been saying that. People have been saying, oh, there'll be lock, and then almost it's like it's what do you call it when you say enough times, and they're trying to push that now. It kind of makes fulfilling prophecy or something, when a lot of people have said that in our movement, and you do wonder. But have the powers that be been hearing everything and they want to make us fearful now, instead of, we weren't frightened before, but now we're going to be fearful of another lockdown? I mean, I don't know. Am I going all round in circles here? Or
shall we hear from Lynn? Sorry to take over, but conscious that.
Oh no, do please. Yeah, I mean, I tried. I do a little bit. It's good experience. Yeah, where is Lynn then? She's.
Are you on Zoom? Joanne, are you on Zoom gallery view?
I'm just on Zoom, general Zoom I've got here.
Are you on gallery view?
I don't think so.
Yeah, when you're a host, it's good to be on gallery view, because then you can see everyone, and then you can see if anyone's joined or putting their hand up.
I don't know how to get on gallery though. I'm
In
not.
the top right-hand corner, it says view, and you can either be on
Oh
speaker
yeah.
gallery.
Oh okay.
It's
I'm very.
gallery. We've got
No,
two of you in there, actually.
I'm a
We've got
novice in
double.
Hang
this.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on.
I'm a novice. Okay.
There we
I've
go.
done it. Yeah, I've managed it.
Oh no, I'm back again. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think I
I'm
was
having
on
trouble
time.
with Zoom. At first, it wouldn't let me on, and I had to join through the browser, having shut my computer down and everything because it just wouldn't let me do anything. And now I've closed the browser, but I'm still there in. Oh, well.
Oh,
I think it's almost normal, just a bit of a duplication.
you look very warm. You look very warmly, and I'm cold here.
It's quite nice here. Yeah, quite nice today. But yeah, all good. So yeah, we've got basically the ULEZ and the lockdowns and things. They're just parts of the same. The parts of the same thing, as far as I'm concerned. It's all, you know. Just I heard a lovely analogy this week where it's there is some film, I haven't seen it myself, but apparently there's a Spartan warrior standing firm, and the sort of battle rhino is charging towards him and is speared, but it continues to sort of charge forward until eventually it drops at his feet. You see what I mean? And the question being, at what point did the rhino, this war rhino, die? Was it, at the point it dropped at his feet, when the spear went in his head, when he was taken from the wild and turned into this war rhino? At what point did it stop? And and it's just like that, isn't it? We're sort of stood there waiting. This war rhino has died, but the momentum's still there. It's still charging at us, and we're just sort of standing firm, waiting for it to have its last gasp and and go away and just die at our feet. It is already dead. It's already finished, and it is just watching it sort of the momentum playing out. So the momentum that's already built up is just playing out. So yeah, lockdowns and things, they were bound to try it again. I think quite a lot of people are just it'll, from my point of view, it'll just be interesting. I think most people will say, F off. I think they would be really stupid to do it. I think they might, but it would be a very stupid and arrogant move.
Well, that's the only
reason. The only reason to do it would be to provoke violence, as you said. Would be to provoke people into making an overt move, because they know how to do that. They don't really know how to just deal with people going about their everyday life and ignoring them. They find that much more difficult to deal with. So yeah, it would. But it would be a game of high stakes, I think. Sorry?
There's someone trying to get your attention in the background.
Is there? No, it's just Verity. She's just nosing. Go away. She's nosing.
I think they have to seem to keep doing, it hasn't gone away. Look, we were right. It's still around. I think they've got that kind of psychology with them as well, possibly.
A little bit of that. There's a little bit. Well, there's a few people that, yes, there's this charging rhino that's landing at our feet and dying, and we're just waiting for that. But in its wake, in the aftermath behind it, if you like, are all the people who've complied and gone along with it, who've got stuff to lose. People who are facing possible prosecutions and loss of face and loss of position, loss of reputation. So you've got a lot of that going on. I mean, doctors and people like that who might be looking now and going, "Oh God," once they've sort of got to keep the blinkers on and keep going, because if they don't, once that's that's up, they are, they could easily lose their jobs, if not their freedoms, because they've violated laws, they've violated actual laws and caused actual harm. And as soon as the balance tips towards that, there's going to be a lot of very scared people. So yes, there's a big interest, media, judiciary, police, medics, of course, school teachers even, who face a loss of livelihood and prosecution. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of playing out of of the foot soldiers trying to keep it going, so that it can just die away without them actually having to face what they've done. And I don't care whether they face what they've done or not, to be honest. I just I think, you know, there's enough there to sort of make people feel a bit damned in their own heads, let alone anywhere else. But they are going to be scared, and they're going to be trying to carry it on a bit at least, and try and at least delay the point of prosecution, or delay the point at which they have to face up to it, so that they can sort of let it soften and let it go away gradually, instead of being hauled in front of a baying mob, I suppose. You know, a lot of people were suckered in, and that's not a defense either. They don't, you know, we've seen with Nuremberg, that's following orders, and, you know, not critically thinking is just not a defense. So, but like I say, I don't really, you know, we're all in different stages of awakening, and I don't really care whether people are brought to justice or not, as long as they just stop doing what they're doing. And I think they're going to have quite enough to cope with without sort of hauling them in front of courts and things. You know, it's pretty big deal what people have done.
Well, their conscience, I mean, if they have one, I mean, some will have, and their conscience will get, and they'll never, you know, I mean, some of them will, they'll feel it, they'll be in their own
quite clever,
karma.
Joe. It's been quite clever. You've got to remember that the sort of people that have been suckered in are the sort of people who went into their professions wanting to do good. You know, the police did not join up to be oppressors. Generally speaking, they didn't join up to be little Hitlers. They joined up to help their communities and to look after people. They might have had a bit of a savior complex or something, like a lot of doctors or fire people. A lot of them have a bit of a messiah, or a bit of a savior complex. But they want to be rescuers. They want to do good. They wanted to be good people. So yeah, this is going to play out really hard with them.
Also, they had the people when that judicial review went, they said to them, "Oh, you closed the schools down." They said, "No, we didn't. The schools did that. They put it onto everyone else," like you said that. Yeah. Said that. And they're hoping that people will say, "Oh, Vera, oh yes, we must lock down," because I don't think they can do it really. Without...
No, it's completely, like, I mean, Rachel said it before. It's going to have to come through the corporations. So the government are going to be like, "Oh no, not us," but they're going to have people like Tesco's, who I think you've seen have already put in a green light system, a traffic light system, to make sure the store isn't crowded, and just, you know, that sort of stupid thing. And the corporations can do it, because they are, you know, if you use their services, you agree to their T&Cs and all the rest of it. So that's obviously how they do it. That's why they're trying to make everything pretty corporate, isn't it? Make us, well,
they're not above the law, though, are they? These
idiots? No, they're not above the law. That's the thing.
They are.
Yeah, that's entirely it. But at the same time, then there's a certain amount of lacking in personal culpability, isn't there? You know, it's like,
I think they need to stand. A couple of times I remember just standing up to completely different people, and they flinched. I went in B&Q. My husband walked in. He was fine. He said, "Where's your mask?" And I turned around really right, and I said, "I'm exempt." And I said it really strong but polite. And I thought, wow, I didn't think I'd got that strong a flattening voice. and a policewoman, we were in there's a lot of them, and my friend was kind of pushing through, and she was going to go for it. And I put my hand right in front, and I said, "Don't you dare touch that woman again." And she flinched. I thought, "Oh, this is good." Two different people. I thought, I only need to be, you know, firm and polite. You know,
a lot of it is just appearance, isn't it? It's just
psychological bullies. This is what a lot of them are. I know it sounds, you know, but that's my true experience. And I thought, wow, yes, they're psychological bullies. And I know it's more than that, and with a lot of cases, but in those two cases, it was quite funny, if you like.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it all comes down to just bullying, really. So that is all they've got. So it's just waiting. Like I say, most of it's about waiting for it to play out. A lot of people are going to feel a bit stupid and then there are others going to be really feeling very threatened.
But the police are very scary. I mean, the police were bullied. When I've gone on a few marches, they were very scary. You know, they do make it scary, and you're physically scared. You know, you want to stand, you know, firm to a certain extent, but they are, they were the ones that they obviously, pushed there to do the work, you know.
Yes, they've been armed to the teeth now. It's you know, with the tasers and all the rest of it, they can actually really hurt. So yes, they have become the thugs, haven't they?
It's a shame
Or
because a lot of them,
Orwell's
I'm sure,
dog.
aren't. I'm sure a lot of them, yeah.
But I mean, but you have to remember, a lot of these people, they did go into it for the right, well, they went into it for virtuous reasons. They didn't go into it to become mass murderers and cause harm to kids and all the other things that they've done.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. It's going to, you know, it's hard. It already is hard on a lot of people. There are already doctors saying they, you know,
They're having their own hell, basically. They
have problems with what they've done, and
Yeah.
they wish they'd known, and or they wish they'd been more discerning. Even Tess Lowry, you know, will say she'd wish she'd been more discerning when vaccinating kids, and not before COVID, you know, with the last ones, even her own children. So there's various stages of awakening, and there's going to be a lot of people who are feeling they should have.
Well, I don't think some people can cope. I mean, there's a lot
They
of
won't be able to.
people
There
who
won't, of course, there are going to be some that
No.
can't cope. There's going to, you know,
you hope they don't find out sometimes. Some people, you just don't want them to find out because it's just too much, you know. You know, you like to say, oh, you know, I told you, but you don't want to say I told you so. It's just too, not in this situation. It's not just too horrific.
Yeah. And there's going to be some that just never need to know. They're not going to need it. If we, you know, if we can get the change happening so that we start living in a heart-based way, a community, localist way, if you like, and that just becomes the norm. They're never going to need to know that they've dodged a bullet, you know, by taking their vaccines or whatever. Then it's just not going to be necessary for them to know, because not everyone comes to this earth to have their eyes to be woken up to the crap that's been going on. Not everyone's come here for that, you know. So that's, if that's not their life lesson, then they're probably never going to need to know, and just carry on enjoying the new world that other people have worked
made for them.
You know?
They seem to be, some people are just walking around. I'm thinking to myself, I've been stressing, I'm worried, and they're just waltzing along, you know. Exactly. And I thought, we've done that for you, no thanks, you know. I mean, you didn't know, you haven't been able to thank us because you don't know what we're doing. And that's sometimes that's so, you think, oh, they don't have a clue.
No, and actually, you know, the better job you do, the less people need to know. They don't need to go through all the worry
I know. Sometimes you feel
stuff and go down the rabbit holes and all the crap that we've been looking into. They don't need to do that. If they don't, you know, frankly, that's got to be a good thing, isn't it?
Well, some people couldn't have dealt with it anyway, so you know, we can say we managed to deal with it. So it makes us feel.
Well, this is it. I mean, I you know, said to
carry on
having this conversation with my daughter and her boyfriend and saying, you know, I hated the lockdowns and things like that, made me very angry and all the rest of it. But I've often wondered if in Nazi Germany I would have been one of the people who have gone along with it and not said anything and just put my head down, and maybe even carried out orders, able to kid myself that. So I've asked those questions. I was like, you know what? And now I know.
I remember thinking that.
Now I look at people. Now I know. I would have looked at them and gone, "You what? Get lost."
I thought of that a long time ago, and I thought, when you see things on, you know, you would listen to all the different horrible, horrendous things that happen. But what would I have done? What would I have done? And I thought, I'd have written down everything I saw. I think I would have written a journal, and it would have been there. I wouldn't have been brave. I don't think I'd have been physically brave. I would have just written it. I would have tried to remember everything. Some of my memory would, but I don't know. It's such a difficult one.
Yeah. Now I know. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it right, but I would have been confrontational.
Would you? I'm not sure I would. I don't know.
Because I've seen it, because I was, and now I know a little bit better, but I didn't. The important thing for me was that I didn't lose the sense of right and wrong, or I didn't lose the humanity. And I didn't. I didn't comply, and I didn't start treating people in a horrible way because of them refusing to vaccinate or whatever. I just didn't go down that route. So I was quite pleased and reassured. I wondered what I would do in Nazi Germany, and now I know.
Well, I would be very, I mean, it was physical, wasn't it? So, you know, that would be scary. Like I say, I'd probably write everything down and look and try and remember things, but to actually physically be brave and you could be killed, you know,
it is hard, but in the moment, you know, when someone confronts, I do confront back, and I know that anyway. So if it's directly in your face confrontation, they'll get it they get back. So with the best will in the world, I'm not a conciliatory type. So,
But if they were violent to you and
I thought become scouting, you're starting.
yeah, the big bully boys, you couldn't, how would you, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it comes, I don't know. So it wasn't the physical stuff I was worried about. It's more the, would I comply? Would I turn a blind eye? Would I pretend everything was fine and, carry on singing, whatever it was they were singing. And the answer was no. And yeah, I mean, if it comes to a direct fight, then that's easy. I'd do the direct fight, but the psychological stuff I wasn't so sure of. I did wonder, and now I know.
Yeah.
So some of us, it's sort of for some of us, it was a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I put things on Facebook, it doesn't bother me, and I'll say to people, but I mean, if you've got sort of, the big bully boys standing around going to threaten you, you're not that police everywhere and nasty, that's scary.
Yeah, it is scary, but it's also so blatantly wrong. You don't really have to go down the route, you don't have to think about it too much. You can just be, you can just
never get that far. Yeah, you stop it
go
from
into fight, go into fight mode.
Hey everyone, sorry, I'm going to interrupt because I've had my hand up for 15 minutes now.
You have as well. It's in a reflection on my screen. There it is.
So
I can see that now. See, I told you, Rachel, I'm not good.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
So just to clarify, the hosting role is not about doing all the talking. It's about making sure everyone gets a chance to talk.
I don't, this is the problem with me. I would never make a story detective because I don't see things. I'm just in my own little, so sorry about that. Yeah, I'm in my own little, and I'm chatting away. And yeah, I don't. That's, I'm a second in command. But that's another story.
So no, but it's good for us all to practice our skills of hosting these calls, because there is an art to hosting. But I just wanted to raise a few points. Firstly, I just wanted to say, Lynn, you look absolutely radiant and amazing, and a picture of vitality there.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to say about the police is it's interesting because I had a visit with the policeman to Crestbrook Dale because the caravan was stolen and I had to do a crime report, and I met him on site. And it was so interesting just to observe close up the uniform and, as you say, the taser and the baton and the kit that they now wear, and also how similar it is to Morrison's security guards. And just noticing this move from, like, policemen used to wear navy and white, didn't they? And it's kind of moved to this black with fluorescent jacket, and it's kind of being moved to align to big corporate. So like they're almost indistinguishable, this uniform of black and fluorescent, because in Morrison's, that uniform has become sort of the norm. So it's not impersonating a police officer, which it's very close to, but it's not, because it's becoming the norm. And so it's almost getting to the point where big corporate security is normalizing into the police force. So almost it will get to the point where you don't know who is big corporate security and who's police. And it all works on a sort of subliminal, like, oh, they must be powerful because they're wearing black and fluorescent green. So this sort of manipulation of this is all part of the mind control, using strong imagery, like to suggest that someone has power, when in truth they have no power without consent, And the third thing I wanted to mention was to pick up on what you said, Lynn, about a lot of people going into the health service or becoming firemen or police officers because they have a bit of a messiah complex or rescuer. They want to take the rescuer role and help people. But of course, this is how the PSYOP worked, wasn't it? That all of the MK Ultra brainwashing to get all of those people to comply was all about, you're keeping everyone safe. All of these protocols are designed to keep people safe. All of the mask mandates in hospital, we want to keep everyone safe. And so by implementing all of these rules, you're keeping everyone safe. And so they sold it in psychologically on the absolute dynamic of that Messiah complex, rescuer complex. So they're very, very clever, this behavioral psychology that has run through all of this. So looking at everything that's unfolding through the eyes of the psyop that it is, to see the extent of the evil that we're dealing with, and the highly manipulative nature of the people we're dealing with. And it's like having that conscious awareness of the depths of that psyop is so important, to really be aware of it and catch it and not be suckered in by it. And so it's so good that we are holding that light to shine on what's going on. So that I just wanted to say those things.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah,
Yeah.
the hospital thing, I mean, it goes, it carries on though, doesn't it? It carries on afterwards. So the people, as the people who work in these things, they went into it like to do good and genuinely wanted to, and they were easily manipulated because of that. That because they appealed to that side, that desire to help, to do good. And now, of course, it is very difficult for them to wake up and face that it was not good at all. It was actually harmful and evil. So they're going to, the ones who are waking up are obviously going to go through some distress about it. And there are others who it will be too difficult, and their heads will stay buried for a bit, and they'll carry it. This is what I'm saying about them trying to perpetuate it. There is still an appetite to perpetuate it, to sort of delay the moment at which you have to face what you've done, because a lot of them didn't go, they didn't go into it to hurt people. They went in for exactly the opposite reason, because they wanted to feel useful. They wanted to do their bit for society, and all sorts of things that on the surface look pretty virtuous. And so yes, they are going to be the aftermath of this charging rhino. They are coming up, they're still following on, needing to perpetuate it a little bit, just to delay the point at which they have to face it, or to face it so they can be more prepared to face it, or so that when they face it, it's not quite so harsh and bad, or they've got a bit more strength. So yeah, we've got to so those people are going to have to, it does delay the sort of bringing everything down. It does delay the going out of the old order and the bringing in with the new, but it allows it to evolve. I suppose it just needs to play out. I think just that side of it, the aftermath, needs to play out, because there are, people who weren't evil, who weren't deliberately trying to take over the world, who aren't part of the megalomaniac ones that we rail against, were genuinely good people, and they've been well and truly suckered in.
They've taken advantage of the good nature of people, haven't they? As well?
They have, and
I mean,
and they're doing it now, because they are now shielding them a bit. They're shielding them a bit because these good, virtuous people are shielding them a bit, because it delays the point at which they have to see what they've done.
What do you say, Roger? What does Roger say? Have you got it, Roger?
Well, what I say is it's a great day today, because I've got my first tomato.
Oh, we've got loads of tomatoes. Yeah, we've got a few growing lots in.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And these are outside, aren't they, Roger?
Mine are outside.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I've got some outside. Yeah.
In my raised bed.
Nice.
So I'm enjoying a nice tomato and cheese sandwich.
Lovely.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good for the soul. Fresh tomatoes.
I did hear the other day from somebody whom I trust, but I've not verified this. But the emergency has been declared over, but nobody's seen that on mainstream media. Does anybody know anything about that?
Where was that? Where was it, Roger? Where? What, and where did you hear that?
Well, just from a
Reliable.
very trustworthy friend.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
And so I don't know whether it's true or not.
What, an
But,
emergency? You mean this C-19 emergency?
Yes.
Whatever that word, whatever you call it. China
Well, if
flu.
it's declared over, it's because people have just gone sod off. We're not falling for that again, which is completely possible. But there's also there's an element of just confusing people. I think, will they, won't they? Get you in fear of lockdowns, get you in fear of C-19, which just generally trying to cause chaos and confusion. I think that there is that going on. I did hear that in California they've abandoned the mask mandates because
that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Against them.
Yes,
and just said no. Get lost.
That's people power for you,
yeah,
in the right way.
So if it can happen in California, it can happen anywhere. So
that's a good one. That's a very positive.
Yeah,
that lifted me up today when I just saw that before we came up. Because I was feeling so down with listening to Highwire, which I don't always do, and then I was listening to a UK column, and they were all locked. Oh my goodness, just stop it, Anyway. Yeah.
All the indications are that we just have to, that we're basically just hold the space and let the good stuff come in. I honestly think honestly think that's all we've got to do. I mean, yeah, I don't know whether we'll end up being casualties on the way. We might be, or we might come through it and
we won't be casualties. We won't.
I mean, if we'll come around again at some point, I suppose.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll all be fine. We'll be fine.
So yeah, hopefully we won't be. Hopefully we'll get to see this wonderful.
I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist. What do you call it? An unforgiving optimist. But I'm an optimist.
Yeah, me too.
Can't help it. I know. Yeah. We all are in our own way.
Yeah. I think they, last the COVID that in 2020 was a last gasp. I thought then it was a triumph for the dark side, but now I think it was the last gasp of a dying monster.
I was pretty naive. I've been pretty naive about all of it, except the medical profession. I was always suspicious, but I've never had a clue on anything else. I really didn't see any.
No, obviously we've discovered since then just how far it went.
Oh, there's a hand up. Sorry, there's Rachel. Hand up.
Thank you, Joanne. And I just wanted to say on this point, actually, in many respects, it's actually quite fortunate that our 30th September event didn't go ahead, because had we had a mainstream venue that's fully compliant, the chances are, assuming that they're going to put this in mid-September, which is what everyone's saying, oh, that's the next lockdown, that event would have been pulled, even if we'd managed to get one of those venues that we were trying to get. Like, we might have sold all the tickets, arranged everything, and then had the venue just say, sorry, lockdown, we're in tier whatever, we're cancelling that booking because of the COVID government bullshit. And that would have been far worse, and to unravel an event having sold all the tickets and promoted it. So maybe that was why we were having such trouble.
And even if it hadn't been, if it isn't full blown, it could have still had sort of rippling effects, and people would have said, "Oh, I don't know, it might." You know what I'm saying? It might just
so it might have worked in our favour. So my sense is that for the because obviously we've delayed it till early 2024, that we really find a freedom movement venue, or do it in a marquee on land where there is where we can still go ahead no matter what rules come through. Do you know what I'm saying?
There must be there's a lot of people who are very sympathetic to us, but don't know. They don't know the Love Party. A lot of people, and I do say to people, it's hard to push it across. I do need to get some.
Yeah, well, it's freedom.
Flyers.
I'm talking about people in the freedom movement, venues or landowners who are in the freedom movement who won't say, oh, there's a lockdown, we've got to cancel.
No. They don't kind of know us, but we're a part of it, and there are so many. We're all little cells, aren't we? There's lots of different.
So it's inspiring. It's inspiring all those cells, all those existing cells, and all of those people, inspiring one person in every constituency to stand. Oh, by the way, I did put onto the Vote Love and the Beacon, I think Julie shared into the Beacons, about the Joe Dispenza walking meditation on Saturday the 23rd of September. Now, given that he's got a massive following and that's going out globally, it makes sense because particularly it's going to attract a lot of heart-centered people, for each of us in our constituency to organise a walking meditation. I know that's difficult for you, Roger, because it's so easy for you to walk, but for those of us who are able to lead a walking meditation, I've registered one in Bakewell to setting off from our Stand in the Park site at Bath Gardens, and hopefully that will corral a group of local people who are heart-centered, and it's a great opportunity to corral the tribe through someone with a huge following like Joe Dispenza, and everyone that will share that.
Oh, I'll share it. I'll share it on the Telegram groups I'm on.
Yeah, so to create your own walking meditation group that will attract people outside of the freedom movement. This is kind of what Simon's been going on about. We have to have a wider reach than just freedom movement, although that's a good core starting place.
I think it just needs to, it needs to be bigger. It needs to be the spiritually awakening, or the spiritual movement. I think, make it as easy as that.
Heart-centered
movement. Yeah.
Heart-centered people who are about the public, about returning the power to the people. That's simple,
A spiritual awakening is good, but you'd kind of alienate a lot of the Christian people and other people that maybe don't. I don't know how that would work.
Well, no, a lot of people are coming. Sorry to interrupt, but a lot of people. I mean, in fact, last week someone came to our Stand in the Park and said that all of their Stand in the Park are Christians, and they alternate.
Oh, good.
Every other Sunday, one of them, they switch so that they go to church one Sunday and then they do the Stand in the Park another Sunday, and they alternate because they can see that it's an evil agenda. They can see it's satanic. Yeah. So actually, there's a lot of Christians in the movement now. So
I know. Yeah,
exclusive at all. I think that wave of kind of heart-centered Christians and is part.
There are spiritual Christians. That does happen.
I know a lot of.
We know about the Vatican and everything.
I know.
I know
a few who don't.
Vatican people.
I know a few Christians, very, very fundamental, I say, and they would not like the spiritual thing. They just don't like any Buddha.
It's because New Age has been demonized, basically, and that's been done deliberately because of the power of the New Age movement. And New Age is not New Age; it's a revival of ancient wisdom.
Yeah, a lot of my Christian friends don't like it. They don't like it at all. In fact, my friend went ballistic when she saw my Buddha. And
that is because the Church of England, I mean, that is why, because I know this from source, is that a few years ago we used to be able to hire all sorts of amazing venues in churches and crypts for events and shamanic drumming. None of it. They won't allow any New Age thing because they know the power of the New Age movement is restoring metaphysical principles to the people, and that's dangerous. And don't forget, the Church of England is aligned to the World Economic Forum because Justin, what's his name? Justin Welby, who's the Archbishop of Canterbury. He's one of their ambassadors. So it's very much the Church of England is not holding to Christian values.
No, them and the Vatican also. They're I think most of these religions at their source. At their pure source of saying the same thing and are aligned to spiritual principles and all the rest of it, but they're very quickly taken, as we saw, by power grabbing, megalomaniac, tyrannical types and exploitive for that agenda. But even so, the Christian teachings do have value, and they do have a spiritual basis, and people have access to spirituality through Christianity just as they have through meditations and that sort of thing. So a lot of Christian people who have a strong faith, I have found, have been quite immune to the bullshit agenda, the narrative. They've seen through it. They've seen that it's not aligned with God, and being what would we say, it's not aligned with right, if you want to put it in a Christian way.
Yeah, I've got Christian friends I met through the movement, basically, and so they are very always trying to get me to get baptized. I don't
need all that ritual stuff.
I don't like that's exactly right, rituals. I don't like rituals now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm quite into open water swimming and all that sort of thing, and I totally get that there are definitely benefits to going and immersing yourself in open water, but we don't have to have this as part of a ceremony, but it can definitely connect you. I don't know whether that's the roots of baptism, but it can definitely connect you to a higher.
Healing and a healing. It's healing,
yeah.
isn't it? The Dead Sea was healing. So yeah. So
I think it can definitely connect you to source. It can definitely help you, help your body heal, and it can help you to feel the connection with nature that you should, that you are part of, that you are an organic moving cog in, if you like.
I would say Mother Nature and Father God, if you like, or the other way around. I don't know. Just recently thought that one. But my Christian friends, I said they would not. They would not like that. They would not like that. They no, very narrow. And very, very fundamental. My parents were Methodist, but they're people I know and are very fundamental. It's a little bit more rigid, I'd say, even the Methodists.
But anyway, so the 30th of September, I'm thinking if we have it, obviously have it here, I'm sort of thinking of opening it up, as I think Simon suggested it, and I sort of agree. I think opening it up to any keen member, anyone who is interested enough. And I sort of think, I'm sure Simon said this as well, I might have dreamt it, but I think he said it, that we should perhaps think about doing that for the beacons generally, is making that, now that we're not sort of looking, now that we're independent candidates and we can choose whether we stand or not without any procedure for approving and all the rest of it, perhaps open up the beacons to anybody who's keen enough to come and be part of it and contribute. So that's another
I have been adding to the list anyone who's, when they sign up for the Freedom Movement, which is free now, just to sign up to the Love Movement, sorry. If they put, yes, I'm interested in standing as a candidate, they automatically start getting these invites now.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it is the way that, because people are signing up and there's a little box there to say, are you interested in standing as a candidate in 2024 general election? And it's either yes, no, or maybe. So the yeses get into this invite.
So yeah. I mean, I'll stand no problem.
So far that I've seen.
I'll stand no problem. I'm just wondering how I would. I mean, a friend of mine actually was independent, and she stood a couple of. So I could ask them obviously how they went about the situation. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I was a paper candidate years ago, as I said. And so is it? I mean, how would I just have to get 10 people to sign, or is it completely different? 10 people to, for
in general, I think it is still 10. You can basically do that by standing in your local Sainsbury's and asking people to sign it, as long as they're on the electoral roll.
My neighbours. Haven't they got to be in
your
my
neighbours, your partner, yourself?
Never.
Any 18-year-old members of your family, anyone who's on the electoral register. For this one, my husband and my mum signed it. But it could have. So I could have got it from members of my family. But then they don't have to. They don't have to be saying they're voting for you or anything. They're just saying that yes, you are a person who. You don't even have to live in that area now.
Really?
In your constituency, you don't have to live in that constituency. Stand in any constituency.
Oh, I did. You see, I don't know this. I'm lost, so I'll have to get some info.
No, you can stand in any. They often parachute people in, but the people who endorse you on the form have to be on the electoral roll in that constituency.
Okay.
But I mean, frankly, if people can't get 10 people signing it,
I'm sure I could do. I'm sure I could.
They don't stand much chance of getting voted in, do they? Because let's face it, all you've got to do is stand on the street corner and just say, do you mind just adding your name to the list? Or just knocking on. Julie did it by knocking on a few doors. Most people.
I'm new to all this. I say I stood as a candidate paper, but I haven't done any kind of whatever you call it, canvassing.
Go and ask it in your pub or in your local shop or something. Just say, go on, you've seen me shopping here. Just
my husband would. I mean, he always goes to the little local. Yeah, he probably signed for me. He probably gets
it's like getting legal documents witnessed, isn't it? You're just going to go and find somebody who's over 18 with an address. So.
Okay. We've got a while.
Just have to make sure they're out in this in your constituency, the one that you're standing for. That's all. Because no point me getting everyone in Hickling to sign it and then going and standing in Melton West or whatever. It's not going to work. They have to be in Rushcliffe. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So your standards, we're standing as independent or for the Love Party? I mean, how we're not really going to be in politics, are we? Just standing as an independent to try and.
yeah, we start. Well, you don't get a chance. You don't get the option in unless you're a registered political party. You don't get the option of standing for a party. You have to do independent.
No, yeah, that's what the problems we had. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which is
So
why
it's
we're
independent.
changing our names to Love, which is something I must get around to doing. We're putting Love after our names, like Julie Tasker Love or Rachel Elnor Love.
David Wilson Love. I love the
Yeah.
fact that he used that in the
He's so
article.
good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's fine to do that. What happened with Rachel? You got a lot of, they tried to sort of give you a lot of grief, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And did that resided itself? Sorry,
I could go into that story, but I'm just conscious it's 1:05.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Well, that's fine. Then that's good. It's so you can do that with. Okay, I've not.
Unless everyone's happy to stay on while I explain.
Yeah, let's have it. Let's hear what it is.
Are you happy to keep on, Roger?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically on the nomination form, it says, what is your name and what are you commonly known as? So I put my name as Rachel Elnor, which is what's on my passport and all that, and commonly known as Rachel Elnor Love. So, but basically then someone complained. So that, yeah. And I think it's politically motivated. I think it was a vexatious complaint. But anyway, so then I get a call from the police basically saying that you've committed electoral fraud. And I was able to prove that I had included Love in my name through Zoom screenshots, because you'll see my name. It was Rachel Love. So I was able to prove that I'd included Love in my name since March through these Zoom screenshots. And now, the thing is, the police are very clever and they try and entrap you. So if the police do not have enough evidence to arrest you, what they will do is invite you for a voluntary interview, and they hope that you'll go along with it and implicate yourself accidentally. Now, that is why it's so important under common law to realize we have a right to remain silent. We do not have to give any information because, of course, if the police had enough information to have arrested me or enough evidence, they would have arrested me. So the fact that they invited me for a voluntary interview says right there that they didn't have enough evidence to arrest me. So they needed me to implicate myself. And so I was lucky to get, I won't actually mention who, to give me advice. I'm assuming we're going to release this recording generally widely. Are we happy to do that?
I'm happy to, yeah.
Yes, Joanne, Roger?
Yeah.
Are we happy to put this wide?
Yeah, we should.
Out widely. Okay, good, because I think there's been a very interesting debate on many levels. But anyway, back to the story. So basically, we didn't go to the detective because they're useful idiots. We went to the chief, legal officer advisor to the East Midlands Police, straight to the heart of the beast, to say that I would be happy to go for a voluntary interview upon presentation of reasonable evidence that I had committed the crime. So it's a catch-22, because if they had reasonable evidence, they would have arrested me already. So it basically, because willful refusal to obey a police officer is an offence in itself. Now, zooming out from this, the reason why they're going for me, I believe, and that's probably because I'm a paranoid conspiracy theorist, is that if you have a criminal record, you are not allowed to stand for election. So if there was a way that they could force through some spurious criminal charge against me and convict me, I would not be allowed to stand as a candidate in the 2024 general election. And I believe that this is a politically motivated, vexatious complaint against me to try to get me out of the running. I really do. So through this, basically what we've been able to do is to kind of head them off at the pass and apparently they have put the file. The detective constable has basically said, we've now referred the file to the Crown Prosecution Service for directions on whether there's enough evidence to prosecute you. But to be quite honest, I am like, bring it on, because if I were to be charged with a criminal offence for putting love in my name, I would require a trial by jury, which is my common law right, and I would say, bring it on. And I would happily stand in front of 12 free men and women of the land in that jury and let the powers attempt to paint me as a criminal for putting the word love in my name. And I think it would be it would actually like break, it would just demonstrate the ridiculousness of the false matrix and where we've got to with this control system, and how much bullshit it truly is, that someone can be deemed to be a criminal for using the word love in their name. It would be the most, actually, it would bring a huge amount of publicity, I feel, to the love movement to have that case. So I can't lose. I can't lose, actually. So bring it on.
Who was you don't know who the person was that complained? I mean, how could you complain
Well,
about something stupid?
so basically,
It's mad.
so the person who's acting for me put in a Freedom of Information request for a full disclosure of the complaints and the name and address, and they have pushed back on that as well.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So, it's like there's like slippery snakes,
It's interesting. They must be a bit,
Yeah.
they're scared of you, aren't they? And they must know you've got something going. They're obviously got some, they were a little bit scared to do something.
Well, I believe that they are generally scared of the huge movement of people, the awakening of consciousness movement. And that's why they're pumping out this Wetiko fear, outrage, chaos, air traffic control chaos, Maui fires chaos, fear around directed energy weapons, wars, threat of nuclear war, threat of scarcity, all of these things pumping out dissonance into the grid, because love and harmonic resonance, and thanks again for opening the call with a little song. It's just a little simple song from the heart.
I'm not a great singer, but I try.
We find this with
mantras,
singing mantras every morning. It just brings you into harmonic resonance, because Wetiko it drives it crazy. It cannot survive high vibration, and by that I mean resonance. And so us in the love movement, with all of these tools of high vibration, it is like kryptonite to the Wetiko.
Yes.
It's like kryptonite, and bringing people to the heart. The Wetiko can't bear it. It drives it berserk.
I would agree with you, Rachel, that all they've got now. I mean, they've been so careful and meticulous in feeding us a crisis a decade and things like that. And I really think now all they have, that they're narcissists, they've lost control of their victim, and they have nothing left but chaos now.
Yeah.
And they will keep the chaos going, because it's very much in their interest to do so, because if order ensues, obviously they face risks of prosecution and losing their fortunes and all the rest of it. So they will try and keep the chaos going basically until the end of their days. And that's what we're facing, really. Like I say, it's dead, and we're just waiting for it to realize that, or waiting for it to come to a halt. And
David Martin called it, they're composting. He said they're composting. The system is composting, and it's falling into its own chaos, and it will dissolve under the weight of its own deceit and deception, and it's literally composting itself.
It is. And I mean, I know, it is, of course, it's a little bit crap to go through like the COVID stuff, and to hear about things like the Maui fires and all that sort of thing. It is a bit rubbish, but I do think, in a few years, maybe not even years, we're going to look back at this as a brilliant and the most amazing time, and it's absolutely what we came to Earth for, to be here and experience humanity, whatever we want to call it, people waking up, ascending, actually experiencing ascension.
I said that
one
to a
that-
friend of mine. I
That's
said that to a
actually
friend of mine.
predicted in the Bible, that's predicted in various other ways, but we're actually
Well, I said that to a friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, you know, she's had to. Well, she kind of knows half. She's semi-awake." And I said, "We're going into the light." She's, "We're not going into the light." I thought, "Oh, well, you definitely aren't." Being funny.
oh gosh, sometimes
There is a split. It is like people are kind of either lifting out into this ascension, higher vibration, or they are going to be trapped in this false matrix, total command control, jabathon of like hell realm. And it's kind of like that. That's my sense, is that
We
there
might
is
lose some.
separation.
We definitely might schism into it, almost. We might even schism into two separate species on this, you know, with one's going down the transhuman and one's becoming more energetic beings. We don't know, because there is all this energy coming into Earth at the moment, evolutionary levels of energy, because of the area of space we're passing through and the low magnetic shields of the Earth and the Sun.
Oh, wow, you know, I haven't got a clue on that. That's interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Go and look at Rory Duff. Go and talk to him. Not go and look, just watch his videos. He's a
Rory Duff. What's he
Duff.
called? Rory Duff.
Duff. He's a geologist.
Duff. Okay. Oh,
He's a geologist, and he does it all very scientifically, but basically he's been looking at Earth energies for a long time and how it
Wow.
affects people. But one of the things is what we don't know about this energy, because it happens every 17,000 years or something.
Really?
So way before recorded history.
Wow.
So we don't know what happened last time around, but what it could mean is either we all ascend, it's an ascension energy. So that's possible. But the other option is that it's amplification energy, which means that whatever's going on in our vibration is going to be amplified. So those who are in fear and despair and all the rest of it are going to have a really grim time, and they're going to go into more fear and depression and more apathy, and being basically in a hell, and any escape, even AI, will be preferable. Whereas those of us who are working on our vibration, who are living mostly in love, or at least above courage, you know, we've at least managed to tip over over courage. If we're in those and then that gets amped up, well, you can imagine we're just going to fly. We're going to have a great time. But either way, we can't lose, because we're going to either ascend, we're going to be in the group that ascends as opposed to the group that splits, or we're going to all ascend together, which will be even better, you know, even more wonderful.
Yeah, because a lot of people like, I'm fortunate, but a lot of us haven't got family who are on the same page, if you like, and so
we will lose people.
I
think that could well happen.
we want to sort of carry them with us, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, a lot are going to die. I mean, it's like they were injected in the cocoon. They were in the cocoon and they were injected so that they can't complete the metamorphosis. And a lot will die, and we're seeing the excess deaths, aren't we? So
On a
we're gonna
positive
keep on
note,
jabbing people,
and they're very sick. People are going to get turbo cancers. Apparently, that's
on a
another-
positive note, let's not get too carried away, because there's
no,
things-
yeah, they'll
not everybody.
No.
Not everybody in power is bad. Not everybody is bad. So there are those that are opposing it, and I've got AJ Roberts, who's a very ex-military and has people and contacts in the military and all the rest of it, telling me that chemtrails are actually containing stuff that are negating what was in the vaccines.
Really?
They are, yes, there may be some annoying ones that are blocking out the sun,
That's
but also
interesting.
ones. If you look at the plant life, it's thriving. This is why I don't think the chemtrails are poisonous.
Yeah, I wondered that.
Wildlife, I've never seen wildlife so varied. Since because we had stuff in the 70s, we didn't see any buzzards or anything like that. Now we're seeing all the top predators, the buzzards and the red kites, and I'm seeing foxes and badgers and all sorts of things I haven't seen that used to be rare are now common. And the plant life is looking very verdant and very, very healthy. So I don't think there's poison in them. I think it might be a visible sign of control. It might be something else, or it might be that actually some of them are containing things to help cleanse, help detox what's going on, because not everybody's against us.
No.
Not everybody
That's
is.
the talk we had, I've forgotten his name again. His
Military.
name escapes me. On the Constitution, who was he called? I've forgotten his name. And he said that a lot of
William.
judges and a lot of people, they are not get there, you know, with us basically, didn't you?
Yeah.
So,
Some are walking a
Yeah.
tightrope and some are
Yeah.
doing what they can when they can get away with it.
yeah,
know,
yeah,
But yeah, even in the military, there are people who are, and another interesting thing I heard. No, this is very odd, and it comes from comes from sort of someone who does the Sovereign Project, so we can take it with a bit of a pinch of salt. But apparently, Donald Trump, who it was Commander-in-Chief, when, as we know, there was electoral fraud in the last election, and they wanted him to capitulate, to hand over, you know, to step aside, and he couldn't actually, because the Constitution in those circumstances forbids it, and he would actually be then guilty of treason if he gave up the presidency in those circumstances, in the circumstances of electoral fraud. So he couldn't actually capitulate. Otherwise, if he had, he could have been charged with treason, and that's a death penalty in the US.
There was a talk on Richard Forbes. He had a talk with and it's called, I can't remember the name, but it's called something
I think it might have been
card.
him. But it was very interesting because it does mean that he never gave up being Commander-in-Chief.
And
so
the military
some
turned
of
their
the
back.
military, some of the military in the US are still treating him apparently as Commander-in-Chief, which
Well,
is
the military apparently, when is this true?
they're not all.
Yeah, when Biden was, you know, driving along to get inaugurated or whatever in his way, they turned their backs. The military turned their backs on him. That was sort of supposedly
odd, yeah. But they probably tried to make out it was some sort of sign of respect, but on deference. But I don't know. I hadn't seen that. But
I only saw the inauguration. The inauguration,
probably...
they were all masked. I mean, it was black masked everywhere. Did you see the inauguration? I watched
it.
No,
I didn't. I was completely depressed by the whole thing at that point, and I just ignored it.
I watched it with Sasha Stone commenting, so it made it quite funny.
I think I should perhaps watch it now, but I don't because now I think it's all a bit more funny. And I know the impression is from the media and even from Twitter and things like that is that everybody is against us and it's all very dark. I don't think they are nearly, you know, have nearly as much of the control or as much in control as we came to believe that they were. So that there's an illusion that they control everything, when in fact that's just another part of the psyops to make us scared and make us feel we have to go along with things and we're powerless and helpless.
The powerless thing is the one, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a very, I mean, being powerless and helpless is a very low vibrational place to be. You can't do much when you're in those vibrations, whereas when you're empowered, you're right at the top. It's completely the opposite end of the scale, and you can actually, you know, start moving mountains. But I think we're going to see a lot more coming out. And yeah, I'm a bit, you know, I'm a little bit impatient. I want to know what's going to happen. I want it to happen now so I can enjoy it.
I've got children. My children are abroad. Well, my children, I mean, one of my daughter's in Melbourne and my other daughter's in Jersey. So I just, that for me, it wouldn't have been a problem at all if they'd been all with me. They're all awake, but they're far away.
Sorry, I'm going to have to point out it's 23 minutes past 1. We've overrun by 23 minutes. This is an hour-long meeting. I have things to do. As I'm the host of the call, I'm going to have to interject and host in terms of hosting on my Zoom account, even though you're host Joanne. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to call this to an end now. So
can we all contribute? Can we contribute somehow? Can we kind of, you know, when we, you know, you know.
I don't think we need to worry about the finance.
But we'll see. I mean, something, you know, whatever. Yeah.
Assume you pay per month, however long the calls are. But
I use it all the time for all sorts of things, so I'm happy to use it. But I'm just saying that because I'm the host of these meetings. If I end the call, then it ends for everyone. Yeah.
And Paul Roger's been sitting quietly.
Anyway, thank you everybody. It's been really lovely to catch up. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Next week at 1 o'clock.
Thank you. 1 o'clock. I can't make it next week, but I'll be away next week.
Yeah, next Friday, 1 p.m.
I might be okay. I think I am. I think I'm okay. Bye.
Bye, Joe.